Hello guys, and welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be talking about everything that is wrong with my BMW N52 engine. Let's get started. So as you guys know, this is the BMW N52 engine. It is in my BMW 130i. It is also found in the 330i and 530i, along with the 25 and 28i variants. Now this is the 3-litre 6-cylinder engine from BMW. In this particular car it produces 265 brake horsepower, and that is mainly down to the redesigned intake. Now then, what is actually wrong with my BMW N52 engine? And I'm going to start with the main thing, probably the biggest thing that is wrong with this engine is the lack of oil changes it has had in its 15-year life. There are some gaps in the service history where it has not had an oil change for 30,000 miles. Yes, not 13,000 miles, 30,000 miles. And if you take a look inside of the rocker cover, you will see there is some sludge buildup. I'm not too sure how well you can see in there, but there is some sludge buildup. Now, I have not long done a oil change and also an engine flush. Now that did help in getting rid of some of the sludge, but there is some more still in the engine, so I'll probably do a couple more oil changes and a couple more engine flushes just to try and help get rid of the entirety of the sludge. But one of the main problems that a lack of oil changes causes on these engines is with the Vanos Solenoids, and they are located down here at the front of the engine. They have a screen filter built into them, and they like to get clogged up with a lack of oil changes. Now luckily I don't have any fault codes associated with the Vanos solenoids, but I will be removing them at some point just to inspect them and see what the condition of them is looking like, and if I don't think they look too healthy, then I will go ahead and just replace them with some genuine BMW OEM replacements, of course. Now then, the next issue I have with my N52 engine is a pretty common issue amongst these engines, and that is, I believe, the oil filter housing and the oil cooler gaskets are leaking. As you can see, there is a bit of oil down there, and there's also some down there in front of the oil cooler, and also right down there between the engine block and the filter housing. So I will at some point be swapping out both the oil filter housing gasket and the oil cooler gasket. The next problem I have on this engine is the thermostat. I cannot seem to get the coolant temperature up any higher than 75 degrees. It is supposed to reach a temperature of around 100 to 110 degrees Celsius. I cannot seem to get anywhere near that, so I'm pretty sure the thermostat is bad. Now the thermostat is actually located right down here where the water pump is, as well as actually bolted onto the water pump. Now the water pump was replaced on this, but it was replaced 8 years ago, so I probably will go ahead and replace the thermostat with the water pump as well, because the water pump is of course a main failure point for these engines. So that is just another problem that I have. Now then, the drive belt or auxiliary belt, which is located down at the front of the engine, it runs off the crankshaft pulley just down there. Now there is nothing in any of the service history which indicates that this has ever been replaced, so I will be replacing the drive belt at some point, along with of course the idler pulley and the automatic tensioner, because it is a good idea to replace that if you don't want it to snap while you're driving along, because if it snaps, then you not only lose the alternator, which means your car will then be solely draining your battery, but you'll also lose your power steering pump, and you'll also lose the ability to use your AC as well, because your AC compressor will not be able to spin. The next problem we have is the rocker cover gasket. That of course seals the rocker cover to the cylinder head, and as we can see down here, away from the oil cooler, down here at the front, it looks like we do have some oil leakage, which is more than likely from the rocker cover gasket. So I will be replacing the rocker cover gasket at some point. It is a main failure point on these engines. It can actually, if it leaks around here, it can actually leak down onto the exhaust and cause some oil burning smells to obviously enter the cabin, which is not a good problem to have. So I will be in fact replacing the rocker cover gasket at some point. Now the next issue we have is actually with the coolant. Now I'm not too sure how well you're going to be able to see in here, but this coolant looks pretty dirty, and I'm guessing it has never been replaced, or not at least in the 8 years since the water pump was replaced. So that is due a replacement. Now I'll probably go ahead and do a complete coolant flush of the entire coolant system when I go ahead and replace the water pump and the thermostat. And we'll actually have a look at what the power steering fluid looks like as well. I can't see any seepage around the outside of the cap. So let's take a look inside. It looks relatively green, so that doesn't look too bad, but we probably will be swapping that out at some point as well. I'll probably do a full power steering flush of the power steering fluid, because, you know, we have a power steering pump, so we want that to be in good health and operating as it should. So that will need to be flushed out with some CHF 11S, so we will be doing that at some point. Another problem we have, and it's pretty much another maintenance item, is the spark plugs. So all 6 of these spark plugs will be replaced by me, because they have not been replaced in the past 6 years. So they are long overdue. I believe in replacing spark plugs every 30,000 miles, and it has gone way past that. So we do need to replace them spark plugs, and I probably will be replacing the coil packs at the same time, because they are more than likely the originals on there. And yet another maintenance item that I do need to replace as soon as possible is the air filter. I'm pretty sure the air filter has not been replaced for at least 4 years now. And if you are thinking that this airbox looks a little bit different to yours, there is a good chance that it may be, because this airbox actually houses the cone style filter, not the panel filter, and that is one of the reasons why this engine produces the 265 brake horsepower over the 258 brake horsepower. Now when I swap out the air filter, I'll probably go down the route of swapping out for something like a K&N filter, just because it's a bit more free flowing, and if we can gain 2 extra horsepower, brilliant. If we don't gain any power at all, then it's still all good, because the filter lasts forever. And when I go ahead and replace the filter, I'll probably remove this elbow here and the throttle body and give that a good clean as well. And another issue that I have on my N52 engine is with the Disa valves, and with this being the 30i variant, there is 2. So there is one here and another one down here. Now I'm pretty sure the issue that I'm having is they appear, or at least sound, like they are a little bit loose, and I believe that I can hear them on idle. Now I know that if these valves, if the flap on them comes completely loose, they can be sucked up through the intake manifold and destroy your intake valves. And so I am not going to be taking the chance. I will be removing these at some point, inspecting them, and then replacing them if required. And then the final issue that I have with my N52 is the starter motor, which you cannot see, but it is located right down there beneath the intake manifold, and I have a feeling that it is on its way out, because when I start the engine, which I will now insert a clip of me doing so, it seems to start very slow. And so when I take the intake manifold out to do the Disa valves, then I'll probably go ahead and do the starter motor at the same time. But apart from those few things, if you can really call that a few things, I'm pretty sure my engine is in very good health. The entire engine bay could do with a clean, especially to get rid of all these leaves, and you know, there's probably a whole bunch more in the cabin air filter box as well. But aside from those few issues, I'm pretty sure my engine is good. Of course, when I carry out the jobs to rectify these issues, I will be showing you guys. So if you do want to see some step-by-step guides on how to fix any of these issues, then do stay tuned. Okay then, so I want to thank you guys for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this video. I hope you are looking forward to some more future videos on this engine. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please give it a like, leave a comment down below, subscribe if you have not already done so, and I'll see you all in that next video. Peace.